and use the power of the Matrix to light our darkest hour.
The awareness of our impending mortality is one of, if not the most influencing force on our experience of life.
Voilà, c'était une personne blonde qui était assise au sol, qui reprenait conscience à ce moment-là et qui me regarde et me dit, ben voilà, oh my god, what's happened? Donc,
a mysterious ring that left a paramedic puzzled, trying to see the bright side in your last moments, and what did Tupac say before he died? We have it all in today's most amazing top 10 list. Coming in at number 10, we have The Ring. A paramedic on Reddit said that they were riding in the back of an ambulance with someone who had just been in a serious car accident. They were losing a lot of blood but still conscious, and it seemed that they were going to make it to the hospital. The last thing that the person said to them was, "Take the ring out of my pocket." It wasn't long after that that this person flatlined before they were even able to make it back to the ER. The paramedic didn't go fishing through their pockets to find this ring because, for one, that is illegal and it morally feels very strange. But they never got to find out why this person wanted them to take this ring off of them. There was the chance that they had some sort of head injury from the crash and that they couldn't clearly comprehend where they were. Or maybe it was some sort of family heirloom and this person knew that they didn't have anyone to pass it on to. Maybe they didn't want something so precious to be buried in the ground with them and they thought it should have been passed on to the person who was trying to save their life. And guys, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps us out. Coming at number 9, we have There's Nothing There. Reddit user GunMedic15 said that they had just picked up someone who was going into cardiac arrest. They got them into the back of the ambulance while they were still conscious and they hooked them up to the EKG monitor so he could check out what was going on with his heartbeat. He saw that he was going into a lethal rhythm, and that sounds like the title of an R&B album from the 90s, but it basically means your heart can't pump blood properly and you're starting to drift off, and if you don't fix it, you're going to die. Well, this man had enough blood circulating in him to say one last thing before he went. The only thing he said was, "But I don't see a light," and then he was gone. The paramedic tried to bring him back, but he was unable to save his life. We like to think we know what's on the other side, but we really have no clue what happens to us when we die. Coming in at number 8, we have Are You in Any Pain? You have to ask these questions as a paramedic. Now, if you're on the other end of this and you clearly are in a lot of pain, this could seem like a dumb question, but it's just the other party doing their job. That being said, if you're about to die, say whatever you want because nothing matters and we are alone in the universe. So a paramedic talked about when they were tending to someone who had just been stabbed. When he first got there, he said, "Are you in any pain?" And the man said, "Yes, I'm in pain. What the hell do you think? I was just stabbed." The man didn't live very much longer, but at least he went out without holding anything back. I think some of us would rather fake not dying so we don't inconvenience the paramedic with trying to save our life. Coming in number 7, we have the overdose. A paramedic shows up at the scene after someone calls about an overdose. They rushed in to help the person. They were still semi-conscious. They had just taken too much of an opioid and they were drifting off pretty quickly. This person was clearly an addict for quite some time. You could tell by their body that they were wasting away, which was going to make it so much harder to save their life. As the paramedics were putting this person onto the gurney, they said, "I'm scared," then they drifted off. They did everything they could to try and keep this person alive, but there was no luck. It must have been heart-wrenching to have someone in that moment who's looking to you for help and is so frightened. They would just want your help, and it would be so hard to tell them what's going on without making them more afraid. Coming in number 6, we have What's Worth Your Time. An elderly man was being transported to the hospital by 2 paramedics in the back of an ambulance. He was starting to slip away. He was going into cardiac arrest. He turned to one of the paramedics and he said, "I spent too much time vacuuming," and then he drifted off and died. I think that's something that would probably be ringing in all of our minds when we're about to go. What did we really spend our life on? I hope that when I'm going, I don't have negative feelings about how I spent my life. As of right now, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Coming in number 5, we have Stay Positive. A man in his early 30s was in a terrible car accident. The way that it was described in the Reddit thread was that he didn't have much of a chance surviving even if he was in the emergency room when it happened. They didn't go into detail about what that means, but I'm sure you can tell that it's not good. The man was still conscious as he was being rushed to the ER, so he took his time to ask the paramedic about what was going on with his body. He wanted to know the extent of his injuries. The paramedic gave him a full breakdown the best he could in this stressful moment, and the man who was about to die said, "At least it's not raining." If you're about to go and you can feel your life slipping away, I guess you could be scared or you could be happy and just hope that whatever is waiting for you on the other side will be something that's even nicer than what you got to experience on this side. I hope that more people feel that kind of security as they're passing on to the other side, no matter what the situation is. Coming in number 4, we have skydiving. Some people who seem healthy can have some pretty serious medical issues. Reddit user Reddit Owns My Life talked about the last words they heard from a guy who seemed pretty healthy on the surface, but this man had an unstable heart arrhythmia. Basically, when his heart was beating, it wasn't doing a good enough job, so he wasn't getting enough oxygen passed around through his body. This would cause him to pass out, and most people don't survive with this for very long. This man with the heart problem in this story described the feeling of going in and out of consciousness as the same feeling you get when you jump out of a plane when you're skydiving. The paramedic said the guy passed out right in front of him, and before he did, he said, "Are you going to take me skydiving again?" And that was the last thing that this man ever said. Coming in at number 3, we have not ready. The whole concept of death is so terrifying because we have no idea what happens. That's why we come up with so many things like religion, astrology, or simulation theory. All of these things are supposed to give us the answer to the unknown. Religion tells us what happens after you die and how you're supposed to live your life. Astrology tells you who you are and why other people are the way that they are, and simulation theory tries to tell us how the universe and reality was created. But really, we don't have the answer to any of these questions, and no matter where you put your faith, when your final moments come, you will most likely feel an overwhelming feeling of insecurity. That is what happened in this experience when this paramedic arrived on the scene after an old woman had had a heart attack. She was still conscious, but she could feel herself fading. She kept saying over and over, "I don't want to die." The paramedic said he could still hear her voice in his head. She didn't make it much longer in the ambulance before she passed away. Coming in number 2, we have a dying secret. In your last moments, if you have anything you want to get off your chest, you better do it right then and there, because there is literally no other time you can do it. Just make sure that you are for sure going to die, because you don't want to let all your dirty secrets out and then find out you're going to live. Ooh, that would be embarrassing. Well, this paramedic heard someone's last words that were both incriminating and mysterious. They had loaded someone into the back of the ambulance after they were shot. They were hit a few times, so it didn't look like they were going to make it. This guy had enough energy to ask the paramedic if he thought he was going to live, and he finished the sentence with, "Please be honest with me." The paramedic told him the truth, that there was a good chance he wouldn't. So this man, with his final words, said, "I committed many crimes throughout the 80s. Then he went into a little bit of detail, and he also said, "No one ever caught me." Then he drifted off and died. Now, when you hear something like that, you have no idea if it's the truth. Did this guy just say that to freak out the paramedic as one final sick joke? Or did he get what he needed off his chest, but he didn't give enough information to finish solving the puzzle? And coming at the number 1 spot, we have F.U. Many of you watching know all about Tupac. He was one of the most influential musicians of his time and is still respected as one of the best rappers to this day. I wonder what his opinion of the rap game would be when he saw all of these people with their colored dreads talking about taking too much Xanax and rapping about Heelys. Remember when black people made the blues and then eventually white people turned it into glam rock? I think that's what's happening to the rap game right now. But back to talking about Tupac, he has some of the most famous last words in history. Tupac was shot on the Vegas Strip, and in his last moments, an officer and a paramedic were trying to help him. The officer asked him who shot him, and Tupac responded with "F.U." I think you can imagine that he didn't say "F.U." He was one of the hardest people of his time, and he was about to die. I don't think he was really going to censor himself in his final moments. But even though that would have been amazing to find out who shot the rapper, it's nice to go out like a badass. Alright guys, that is it for today's list. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. I've been your host, Trader Raina, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.